Well, hello and welcome back to another Stars Galaxy of Heroes video. So while I was editing the Grand Arena that I'm putting up tomorrow for my main account, final round of the season and all that, CG dropped the kit reveal CX-2. Um, and it is nutty. He's the one, okay, so CX-2 is the one that's going to be doing the disarm because they are basing it off the fact that he cut off Crosshair's hand in the finale of the Bad Batch show and all that fun jazz. Also, there is a big change coming to omis where okay, so you know how like there's a split between 3v3 and 5v5 omis for like Afra's team. So apparently those are being dropped from 20 to 10 omis, and we're going to be reimbursed for the amount of omis. Like you'll get the mats back. So since I have 2 omis on Afra, I'm going to get 20 mats back. So that's cool and all that jazz. So then you can turn around and use it on CX-2, which you will want to do. Let's get into his kit and all that fun jazz. He is the support Clone Trooper Imperial Dark Side unit for Lord Vader's new team. He is going to be countering teams that can dispel debuffs. Also, apparently, with the way his kit is going to be set up, he will also be able to reapply Dramatic Entrance whenever an enemy is defeated. He's going to have more ways to inflict Order 66, which is beneficial and all of that. He stealths constantly. Duh. He's going to be the one stealthing, being called to assist by Oppo. So with, okay, so I say you need his Omni because in 3v3, CX2 is untargetable while Oppo is alive. You cannot kill CX2 while Oppo's alive in 3v3 with his Omni, which is insane stuff here. He's dropping on the 22nd, so next week. Apparently, the split for 3v3 is going to be Oppo CX2 with Vader. Tarkin's going to have Scorch and the disguised Clone Trooper. Finnick will no longer be able to counter them because, yeah. And they say if a scenario occurs where she can still manage a win, we will intervene. Which, honestly, I don't like that. Finnick has been a really good go-to counter for bounty hunters to be used against Lord Vader for ages, and I don't like that they're removing a non-GL counter for a GL, which I think is corny as hell, but I also think I understand why, but at the same time I really do not. And then there's also, they had a little tidbit here about his Omicron saying whenever any stacks of damage over time are dispelled on the enemy, they gain a stack of damage over time, which cannot be dispelled, evaded, or resisted until the end of battle. How many stacks can be reapplied? Only one. Whenever dots are dispelled, only one will reapply. So if you dispel 5, they will regain 1. That's kind of annoying, but that doesn't really seem to make a whole lot of sense there, but whatever. Also, his kit is ridiculously, short. He has 2 abilities, but then also 2 uniques, which I'm not mad about in the slightest. So, his basic, Infiltrate and Extract, you deal physical damage and inflict speed down on the target enemy for 2 turns. On his turn, if the target enemy has Order 66, Imperial allies gain 10% TDM and recover 10% health, which under Lord Vader, that is nice. If he was stealth, you recover an additional 10% health, and then CX2 will stealth for 1 turn. So it sounds like even whenever he gets called to assist by Oppo, he'll just be constantly re-stealthing himself. The stealth is only 1 turn, and it can be dispelled, but getting to him is going to be the problem, because you gotta get through Vader, you gotta get through Oppo, then you can get to CX2. So, and in his one and only special, Instruments of the Empire has a 3-turn cooldown. I do like the animation. He pulls a vibro blade out of his backpack and, slashes away at the enemy. So you're dealing physical damage to the target enemy and inflicting them with disarm for 2 turns, or until CX2 is defeated, and you remove it from all other enemies, which cannot be copied, dispelled, evaded, or resisted. And you inflict the target enemy vulnerable for 2 turns. So disarm, vulnerable, and the fact that you get to do this thing 3 times, you can do this every potentially 3 turns on an enemy, is pretty nifty. Now, Imperial allies are getting bonuses based on the rolls, and if Lord Vader is an active ally, he gains all of these bonuses. So attackers will gain offense up for 2 turns, healers and supports gain speed up for 2 turns, tanks will gain 30% bonus protection for 2 turns. So giving all that to Vader is going to be extremely beneficial because, yeah, you chose the wrong side as a Zeta Omni, so it is a bit of an essay here. I say essay because it is pretty long. Okay, so whenever an enemy dispels a debuff, all Imperial allies gain 10% bonus protection until the end of the encounter. So I feel like the reason why they had to make note of Finnick being not being able to be a counter against him anymore is because you would usually do like Finnick, Boba, and like Beskar Mando to be a counter against Lord Vader, because Boba would be able to just rocket away the bonus protection and just nuke Lord Vader out of existence. So now, at the start of the battle, if CC-119 Oppo is an ally, all Imperial allies can ignore taunt effects to target enemies inflicted with Order 66. We finally have a way to ignore taunt with Lord Vader. I mean, it is very situational. You have to have Order 66 on the enemy, but we have a way to ignore the taunt. And you also gain instant defeat immunity until the end of the battle, or CX-2 is defeated, which cannot be copied, dispelled, or prevented. So you literally cannot even insta-kill Oppo. You cannot insta-kill CX-2 if you wanted to. You can't insta-kill Scorch. You can't insta-kill the Disguised Clone Trooper. This is going to be nutty on defense. If all allies gain dramatic entrance at the start of the encounter, all allies gain dramatic entrance for 2 turns whenever an enemy unit is defeated. So every time you kill someone, boom, dramatic entrance. And what dramatic entrance does, they they're acknowledging what it does. So you get 25% offense, you deal bonus true damage equal to 10% of the target's max health, which cannot be evaded. You gain 20% TM and dramatic entrance for 2 turns. If oh wow, they just took that straight from the Comeuppance's stuff. And you might need to fix that CG. But you gain that you gain 20% TM and dramatic entrance for 2 turns if the unit defeats an enemy. So now onto the Ami, because like I said, it is nutty. So, first line of it, while in 3v3 Grand Arena, Imperial allies gain 100% max health. So, oh, I did not mean to do that. You already have all of the protection from your units going into the max health, right? You're basically just doubling that. I think, if I'm doing the math, if I'm thinking right, but like, that is a lot of health to grind through. And it just keeps stacking on. If all allies at the start of battle are Dark Side Clone Troopers and or Lord Vader, all allies will gain 50% offense, which you already have 25% from dramatic entrance. That's 75% extra offense. We are really cooking here. And the first time they fall below 50% health, they recover 100% health, so immediately back to full health, and they gain a bonus 30% protection for 2 turns. So yeah, all right. And then whenever any stacks of damage over time are dispelled on enemy, they gain a stack of damage over time, which cannot be dispelled, evaded, or resisted until the end of battle. So honestly, just having the 1 stack of damage over time not be able to be dispelled, evaded, or resisted is kind of annoying, but also kind of good, because if it could be evaded or resisted or dispelled, then it would be kind of a moot point to have that be a thing with CX-2 and Lord Vader. Now, while Oppo is active, CX-2 is immune to taunt effects and cannot be targeted during enemy turns. So he can bebop and hip-hop around your team, throwing disarm on them, and also having Order 66 just keep proccing if he wants to help his team. Wicked work. Now, Focus and Determined is the other Zeta. At the start of the battle, CX-2 gains 10% health, 10% max health, and 10% extra offense for each other Imperial ally. So in 3v3, that'd be, if it's including himself, that'll be a 30% extra max health and 30% offense. If it's not, then it's 20%. But then in 5v5, it'd be 50% max health and offense, and then 40% if it's not including himself. And at the start of each encounter, he gains stealth for 2 turns. While another Imperial ally is active, he ignores taunt's effects on his turn whenever he uses the ability. So this one really threw me off a little bit. So whenever CX2 uses an ability against the same target enemy that he did in the previous turn, it's just basically a way of him getting stacking stats. He gains 50% critical chance and potency, stacking to 100%, and then all Imperial allies recover 15% health protection until he uses an ability on his turn against a different target. So a passive heal, essentially, baked into this kit. Now, I don't know if the protection, how that's going to be worked into going with Lord Vader teams, because of the fact that, Lord Vader's protection gets turned into health. So how are they going to code, how is that all coded? CG is going to be a real question. And then whenever CX-2 uses an ability against the same targeted enemy 3 times in a row, you inflict Order 66 on that enemy for 2 turns, which cannot be copied, dispelled, evaded, or resisted. So, another way to keep Order 66 on the field. A big fuck you to Finnick teams, because you can't even potentially use her properly against Lord Vader anymore. Getting instant defeat immunity is also ridiculously nasty, because then that means you got to keep hitting Vader and the Nightfall Trooper before you can even get to Oppo and then CX-2. And with the fact that they have 100% extra max health, and they're going to have 50% offense on top of the 25% from the dramatic entrance buff, so 75%. And then it drops down to 50, and then they regain the 25 whenever dramatic entrance is reapplied whenever someone defeats an enemy. This team in 3v3 is going to be an extremely nasty one to look out for. But yeah, I guess I'll get this edited down and then get this posted real quick. And yeah, let me know what y'all think of CX-2 in the comments below. Yeah, he's gonna make Lord Vader a nightmare on defense in 3v3. And yeah, let me know what you think of him in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you all later. Hope you have a good rest of your day.